So first things first, let's go ahead and unbox this together. The one I have here is the top tier version with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. The device also comes in black and white. Upon opening the packaging, you'll discover a detailed schematic diagram illustrating the handheld console. Following that, you'll find the instruction manual and the necessary data cable. The device's overall appearance is quite stunning, but does its claim of being the ultimate device for true 4x3 handheld gaming really live up to its name? I will share my detailed thoughts with you, considering its price, configurations, and my actual experience with the device. I bought this device myself, mainly because I've always been interested in devices with a 4x3 screen. Judging from the launch event, its industrial design truly stood out, and the tactile quality when I held it essentially lived up to my expectations. First off, for an Android handheld focused on a 4x3 screen, its core application scenarios are very clear, perfectly handling old games with a native 4x3 aspect ratio, like PS2, WII, NGC, and old GBA arcade games. The Snapdragon G3x Gen 2 chip it's equipped with effortlessly handles these platforms. So, in terms of performance, it has certainly reached an ultimate standard, but the ultimate device should encompass all aspects, not just one. Based on the official specifications and my actual observations, the Pocket S Mini utilizes the identical screen found in the recently launched entry-level Air Mini. While the Air Mini's display is perfectly justifiable for its budget-friendly price, the Pocket S Mini's premium version retails for 3,499 yuan. Thus, I believe fellow gamers would undoubtedly anticipate an upgraded screen, or at least, that's my personal opinion. But the S Mini didn't get a screen upgrade, which will more or less affect how eager fellow gamers are to buy this device. Of course, the screen quality itself for its size isn't actually bad. The color accuracy and brightness are quite sufficient. However, I believe that a top-tier display should have been included within this price bracket. Perhaps the manufacturer considered that an LCD screen is simply better suited for playing retro-style games. Due to the battery issue, a complimentary Air Mini will be included with every Pocket S Mini purchase. This bundling strategy is quite ingenious, allowing users unfamiliar with the Air Mini to simultaneously acquire two devices with different functionalities. I'll also briefly mention the Air Mini. Among the devices I've reviewed, it offers a pretty complete entry-level experience at a very low price. It's a great cost-effective entry-level handheld. This promotion will likely have some impact on the price of the Air Mini in the second-hand market. I believe we will see a batch of low-priced units on Xianyu very soon. If you're interested in the S Mini, just getting the entry-level model is completely sufficient. You can then contact customer service to pay an extra 100 yuan to switch to a 3 plus 64GB Air Mini, which still offers quite excellent value for your money. Now for the actual experience. First, the battery life. It has a 4,700 mAh battery. In my test under game mode, with brightness at 45% and medium volume, playing the Switch emulator for an hour used 22% of the battery. Based on estimates, intense gaming on modern platforms yields about 3.5 hours of battery life. For GBA, PSP, or old arcade games, battery life significantly improves. Now let's discuss the design and tactile feel of this machine. That was actually a significant factor in my decision to purchase it. AYANEO's industrial design really stands out as a leader compared to other products in its category. Its overall dimensions are quite similar to an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it has a weight of approximately 303 grams. When you pick it up and hold it in your hand, it possesses a solid, weighty feel, achieving an excellent balance between portability and its overall quality. The device has a symmetrical joystick layout. The D-pad and ABXY buttons all use a conductive rubber solution. They feel light with clear, responsive feedback, very similar to the experience of a Switch Pro controller, so it's quick to get used to. The only compromise due to the body size limitations is the short linear trigger travel. However, given its primary use for retro and Android mobile games, this impact isn't very significant. On the top of the device, you'll find the power button, volume up and down buttons, and a cooling vent for heat dissipation. The bottom of the device features a rather straightforward design, housing the speakers and the USB-C charging port. Okay, now we're moving on to the actual in-game performance test. I'm sure you're all quite familiar with the performance of this CPU. It truly excels, being able to handle nearly every retro platform and Android mobile game out there. Regarding the Switch emulator, I thoroughly tested it with Mario Kart 8, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Brotado, achieving excellent results across the board. In performance mode, Mario Kart 8 runs smoothly at a full 60 FPS. In game mode, there are occasional frame drops, mostly related to shader compilation. So, for games like Pokemon, which aren't super demanding on performance, you can actually achieve a really smooth 60 frames per second experience, even when you're just playing in game mode. And when it comes to playing a small game like Brotado, it can run smoothly even if you just leave it on balanced mode. Then, there's the PS2 emulator. This is truly its home turf. Essentially, all games can run at a smooth 60 frames per second at 3x resolution, providing a completely perfect full-screen experience without any black bars.